Today we're going to be reviewing set 70501 Warrior Bike containing 210 pieces and retailing for $20 back in 2013. Now, if you want to purchase this set today, on average new it's going to cost you $73, and if you want to purchase it used, that average is going to be $21. Taking a look at our first minifigure, we have a front view of Elemental J with one of the collectibles for this particular wave, that being the Elemental Blade of Lightning. Taking off his headgear, we can get a better look at his face as well. Flipping him around, we can take a look at his back printing, and we can also see that he has no alternate face. Taking a look at our second and final minifigure, we have the driver of the vehicle, which is a Stone Warrior. Now, the Stone Soldier also comes with two weapons, so we have this black katana and this butterfly sword. By taking off his helmet, we can get a better look at this face printing that he has here. Flipping him around, we can take a look at his back printing, as well as the fact that he has no alternate face or no back head printing in general. Before moving on into the main build, we have this build right here, which is a jetpack for Jay. Now, the jetpack itself is not something you really see in the show, so I don't really see an importance in having it in this set, but it was mainly added for the purpose of playing with your minifigs, so I can see that side of things. But again, I would have preferred if this was replaced for different parts that could have been used to polish the main build. And again, since this is a build for Jay, this is what he looks like wearing the jetpack, and here's kind of a 360 view of the entire thing on him. So here we have the Warrior Bike, which is the main thing you're paying for when you purchase this set, and there is two main differences between what we have here and what we see in the show. The first one being the overall shape. The vehicle in the show is more of a buggy type vehicle, and it is lower to the ground, while what we have here is more of a bike with 3 points of contact on the ground itself. The next big thing is the location of the weapons. So the weapons we have here are located right here, but in the show they kind of start out in the back, they come up and they go over the actual vehicle. So those are the two main differences that we have between what's in the show and what we have here as a set. Now, there is still some similarities. First, the color scheme is the main thing that is similar. We have the red, the gray, the black, and the lime green as an accent color as well. With lime green not being as prominent in the one in the show, however, the lime green here is much more present, as you can see it, all throughout the build. I would have preferred if it was mainly up here, however, but, it doesn't really bother me too much that it's, kind of taking its course down the entire vehicle. One thing that does bug me, though, is the use of these blue pins throughout the build. I don't understand why they can't just use black pins or gray pins for whatever section of the build they're working on, instead of using these blue pins that kind of stick out like a sore thumb. Now, while I don't really mind that the build in front of us is different from what we get in the show, there is still issues that I have with this build here. The main thing being polishing issues. I think that they could have polished this set a little bit more. Specifically, we're going to start with the front area. This front area seems a little bit unpolished to me in the aspect that, we could have had more bricks here just to fill it out more. I don't mind studs being present in builds, but here it just feels very plain in my opinion, and it could have had a little bit of a wider base here just to look a little bit better in that regard. Now, the second area that I have an issue with is this back right here. It just feels very empty to me when I know it doesn't have to feel this way. They could have easily had some bricks going across here, going, upwards, as a way to introduce, the ability for minifigures to climb up and give it that realism in that regard. Now, the next thing that we can take a look at is the play features. So the set comes with two main play features. Starting with number one, you have the ability to drive this vehicle. So now for this case, I have placed our Stone Warrior at the top of it just to make it seem like he's the one driving the vehicle. But the way that this works is you just push down a little bit and the treads start moving on this side, and then of course the wheels move in the back, and it works better depending on the surface that you are on. So obviously I'm on a very smooth surface here, so it's not going to work as well, but if you are on something like carpet, it'll give it a better chance at showing off that feature in a better way. Here it still moves, but you have to push it down kind of roughly into the actual surface just to get the treads to grip properly. And then the wheels back here sometimes will fail to move, again because of the smoothness of this surface here, but overall it's still a good feature. The second and final feature that I wanted to take a look at is the ability to shoot missiles out of the vehicle. So moving our stone warrior out of the way here, just so that he's not in the way of how this function looks, we can take a closer look here as well. So we have Technic elements, of course, and then we have this elastic band here as well that is used to power the actual function. So I'm not a big fan of elastic bands, but I would be a bigger fan of them if Lego included more of these within the actual sets, so that customers over time had replacements for, you know, when these start losing their elasticity. Now the function, you just pull this lever here and this goes backwards and you let it go and you can shoot a bunch of missiles, and it really is a nice feature and it works perfectly fine as well. I think that's the best aspect of it, is that it really works well. So the function itself is great. I love it. The fact that it works that well is amazing. Again, I wish they would have included more elastic bands in these sets, as you really only get one. So over time you can replace them yourself, but the feature itself works amazing. So with the feature, you can also take this out, which is the holder for the missiles, and you can reload it, which is very nice. And you can add more in there if you would want. Probably 2 more would be fine. And then you can put it back in here. If you can see this hole, it goes right in there. So you just slide it back in there, sits right again. And then we can look at this feature from a different angle as well. And let's take a look at this. Again, this feature works amazingly, and the fact that it works this well really puts the set in high regards with me overall. So again, this is everything you get in set 70501 Warrior Bike, containing 210 pieces and retailing for $20 US back in 2013. Now, do I think that the set was worth the $20 US during that time period? The answer is yes. While there is what I would consider issues with the set, those can be subjective. First, the jetpack, of course. I do wish it wasn't really in the set. I wish that they could have taken those pieces, replaced them, and then reallocated them to the main build just to give it more of a polished look. Now, speaking on the main build, again, there is, subjective issues with it. First, the front area could have been a little bit more built out in terms of width. I think would have been a good way to make it stand out more in that regard. And then again, the back area is just very empty, so that just kind of throws me off, because you have this cool looking build and then you get to the back and it just feels so empty in that aspect, and it's just kind of a shame. But it's still a great set overall. The minifigures, you get 2 minifigures, that's good. 3 would have been great. I would have loved another stone armyman. A ninja would have been cool as well, but a stone armyman just to build up that stone army even further would have been cool. And then the build itself, of course, still has the functions in it. So the drivability, which it is expected to have, is pretty cool. But what really throws it out of the park is the function to shoot these missiles out, especially in rapid fire succession. And you can get that effect very easily if you have the accuracy and speed with your fingers to pull that lever back constantly. So in the present state that we see right here, I would have gladly paid the $20 US for this set. It's still a great set, even though there is those subjective issues again. So that has been my review of set 70501 Warrior Bike. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking the video, and if you are enjoying the content overall, consider subscribing. It is completely free and helps me out in the long run. Now, as always, I will see you guys in my next video.